Regular meeting of the Board of Education. Let's start with our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Secretary Meyer, will you please start us up?
Sure. President McIntyre.
I'm here. Good evening.
Vice President Campbell Boytel.
I am here.
Treasurer Stewart.
Here.
I am here. Secretary Meyer. Trustee Frazier.
Here.
Trustee Mabry. Here. Trustee Maurer.
Here.
All right, great. We are all present and accounted for. We are also joined by Dr. Weber, our superintendent, as well as our central office leadership team. We also have some special members in the audience tonight, so thank you for joining us. And let's go ahead. I do like to start each of our meetings with our statement of purpose, and that is that in partnership with students, parents, and all stakeholders, Northville Public Schools will create flexible, learner-centered school communities that advance learning and leadership within every learner while fostering the skills and dispositions necessary for success. And our vision is that all students will graduate from Northville Public Schools with the skills and dispositions necessary to maximize their potential as contributing members of a global society. And our commitment to all is that in Northville Public Schools, diversity, equity, and inclusion are foundational to opening a world of possibilities for and with every student. We commit to developing a community that fosters a sense of belonging, respect, and access for all in order for students across race, ethnicity, socioeconomic factors, abilities, and identities to reach their maximum potential. And with that, I'd like to go ahead with our adoption of our agenda.
All right. I bring motion 31 that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Support.
All right, we have a motion properly presented by Dr. Campbell-Waitel, supported by Ms. Meyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we have our consent resolutions.
All right. I bring motion 32 that the board accept the consent agenda items for approval as follows. 5A, the minutes of September 16, 2025 Board of Ed meeting. 5B, minutes of September 16 closed session meeting of the Board of Ed. 5C, overnight and/or out-of-state field trip request 1, NHS World Language trip to Colombia from June 22nd through 30th, 2026. 2, NHS DECA conference in Atlanta, Georgia from April 24 through 29, 2026. 3, NHS Boys Cross Country Meet in Brampton, Ontario from September 25 through 26, 2025. 5D, the 25-26 Panorama purchase totaling $37,985.30. 5E, BTA Professional Design Services for Silver Springs roof replacement. 5F, Peter Basso Associates Professional Services for NHS HVAC upgrades Phase 2. And 5G, UFly Complete Book Bundles funded through the 35J grant. Support.
Okay, we have a motion properly presented by Dr. Campbell-Waitel and supported by Ms. Stewart. Just for the public to know that these are items that we have seen under separate cover. We have discussed some of these also in our committee of the whole. So these are on our consent resolution items just so that we can vote on these and make them official purchases and official approvals. Any conversation that anybody wants to have about any of these items? Okay.
No, I mean, I really appreciated at our committee of the whole the detailed presentations on Panorama, and then also Mr. Banchero giving us updates on the roof replacement and the HVAC. So
Yeah.
that was really helpful.
Agreed.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have our communications.
Yes, we've received communications at npsboe@northvilleschools.org, as well as the Northville Youth Network Program Report.
All right, thank you for that. I will hand it over to you, Dr. Weber.
Yes. Thank you very much. We had our Victorian Festival last weekend, and for those of you who may not know, it really is a city and Chamber of Commerce centric activity. The school district has played a role in it on Friday, and I'm not sure going back how far, but I know for at least the last 4 years. With our marching band there, as well as our staff downtown, our third graders engaging in activities. The parade was fantastic. I want to compliment the board for not getting run over by the marching band. Well done. They were about 2 feet away from us at one point, so it was touch and go there for a little bit, and really like the pictures here as well. It is about truly connecting community and being together, and also it would be remiss not to thank Teresa Osterhoff, perfect, for the coordination of every detail within that part of it. And what a lot of people don't know is the fact that our district, August and up until the day of September, which is typically the busiest time for our Office of Academics, puts a lot of time and energy into planning and executing this. And it's really a benefit, frankly, to the community that our district covers the cost of time and energy for. So, and the main person who does that is Miss Osterhoff, and always does a great job. Site host for the stations. I know I have people to my left who are site hosts and introducing magicians, and I think there are people here I know I talked to on Friday who are also working at that. So perhaps when we're finished up here with the superintendent's report, some board members would like to jump in there. Our NHS Honor Society students, backbeat and troublemakers singing, elementary PE teachers who facilitated Victorian games, and then from an operations standpoint, the other aspects that we put resources towards around transportation, operations, and SEC Shield, which used to be Blue Line, needing to make sure people are safe. Obviously, we have kids and adults like us walking around there and having to be there. So much love and respect to everybody who was part of that, and hope they had a great time. And I know the city and the chamber are deeply appreciative of the significant role that NPS plays in that. And next, I'd like to go to Miss Rebecca Peck with a enrollment update, please. Thank you.
Okay, so that time of year, you're going to start getting these updates from us. The last one I gave you, I think, was maybe 3 weeks ago, and it looked like we were about 90 students up K-12. If you remember, I said, hold on, we're going to be on a bumpy ride. So we've had lots of new enrollments, and we've had lots of withdrawals. So people are finding their places right now. We expect to have pretty solid numbers by the 3rd week of October, which we'll update you on that at that time. But right now, we're 19 students up from last year at the elementary level, 27 at the middle school, and 29 at the high school. So that's a total increase of 75 students over last year. If I had to guess, I would say it probably will come in around 40 of an increase. That now that I've said it out loud, I'm going to be wrong. So I'm just putting some algorithms in place, and it will likely be around 40, but we'll see. This is the big picture. You also have maybe a smaller, a more granular view of what that looks like in our buildings. And I'm just going to remind you of how this works and what this is. We strip out the elementary schools, and we do that. Each elementary school has their own line. So we'll look at Ammerman first. You can see that how many students we have in each grade level. So at kindergarten, we've got 48 students. The line below that is the number of sections we have. That's how many teachers we have in that class, in that grade level. There's 2, so that means the average class size is 24. So as you go across the continuum, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 following that. And you also see a column of combo that's between each of those grade levels. And that draws your attention. The yellow, I tried to highlight it. I didn't highlight all of them below, but there are 3 combo classes that we're running this year, and they're all 1-2 combos. And that kind of shows you, I just want to make sure that when I think about the combos, they usually try to keep the combos around 22 if they can, and that just depends on how many students are in each grade level side. What, if it's the lower grade or the upper grade, the principals kind of work out the actual details on that. So So don't walk out of here saying, I know that there's 22 students in that combo class. There could be 20, there could be 24. They don't go up beyond 24 though in a combo. Ammerman has the 2 ALPS programs, and they're down a little bit lower under the Ammerman Elementary. So you can see where those class sizes are at in 4th grade and 5th grade. I'll let you kind of digest elementary. And
Can I ask a
then-
question?
Sure.
Did you say that we have 3 combo classes, 1-2 combo classes?
Yep. So
How
the
come I'm
first
not-
one is at Ammerman, and that's the 1-2. You see it's all highlighted in yellow. If you go
Yes.
down to Moraine in that 1-2 space, I only highlighted the 1 column. I should have highlighted all 3 of them. So that's the Moraine has a 1-2 combo class.
Mhm.
And then if you go to the very
Oh.
bottom, Thornton Creek kind of started off at the end. And if you flip the page over,
Okay,
you
thank you.
can see that they're.
Turn the page.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I should have tried to keep Thornton Creek together.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So since we're on that other side now, let's talk about Hillside and Needs Mill. We're up at Hillside. You know, you saw on the big picture, we have 27 additional students in the middle school. They're all at Hillside.
That's what I was going to ask. Okay.
They're all at Hillside. We have good solid numbers there. We've checked in with Bill several times, and they're doing okay. We could ask Richard behind us too, because he goes there every day. Thumbs up from
Good,
Richard.
okay.
Meads Mill, you know, I mean, when I first got here, Meads Mill was bigger. But as you know, we've got some developments going on, and Meads Mill is the place where those kids are going to go. So we anticipate those numbers going up as well. High school is, I will be shocked if we have this many high school students when all is said and done. I think we'll probably be flat at the high school, most likely, but we'll see. The high school is the hardest one to get the withdrawals out of. When students or parents and families have moved, we don't always find out. And there's a pretty rigorous process that we have to use to make sure that we're not dropping a student that actually is going to attend, even though they haven't been here yet. So we still have quite a handful of students that have not come to school at the high school yet. So we're working on that.
Do you have a sense of how many additional students have enrolled at Thornton Creek with that new development? Do you have a sense of
Well,
those numbers?
we have 5 sections of kindergarten.
Okay, so yeah, a lot of
And
them
the
are those.
average class size is 21.
Okay, yeah.
So we are, that was something
Okay.
that happened over the summer. So last year, there's phases of that development, so it kind of came in an ebb and flow. Last year, where the builders were at with supplies and materials, we were
Right.
running into some big problems of not being able to enroll them because the enrollment process is complicated. If you don't have a certificate of occupancy and you don't live there, you can't enroll in the school. You have to go to the school where your child is registered at, where your home is registered at. We always ask those school districts, hey, can you release that student so that we're allowed to count them in membership, actually allowed to enroll them in our school? And sometimes they do. If that house is about to be built and it doesn't go beyond November, but anything past that, they usually won't agree to that. So we end up seeing kids, sometimes they'll start in the middle of the year, and many of them I think are starting this year. So we had a big bump.
That makes sense. Yeah, it looks very full. And obviously there's a lot of sections. There's 4 sections each of 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So
And as you recall, last
so we
year.
also switched.
We switched, we moved 2 classrooms, two program classrooms over to Ridgewood, which are, that move happened over the summer. And so far, so good. They got a great space over at Ridgewood.
Great.
Although they're definitely still missed at TC.
Good.
We needed the space.
Yeah, for sure.
My
When-
eye is definitely drawn to the 3rd grade elk size
Mhm.
because there's 4 sections of them.
Yeah.
Which we don't traditionally have to go as we move forward into over to Enrollment. I mean, I know I'm thinking a year ahead, but I just wonder the issue that might cause.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that and see where, Ammerman is a very popular place to purchase homes in. It's an area where, people can that want to live in Northville can live in Northville. There's other areas as well, but Ammerman is a very desirable neighborhood, and we are starting to notice that those homes are starting to turn over a little bit more, which I can't predict what the future is going to hold, but I have the same wonderings, Karen.
Can you remind us when the fall count day is?
October.
And it's
we were
2
just
days,
talking about
right?
that.
Is it 1 day or
It's
is
it's
it
one,
one?
October 1st.
Okay.
But, and we'll run so at our schools with the AB schedule, what we do is we run it's called a C day.
Okay.
So you go to every class that day. It just makes it easier through the count process. So it's that day.
Okay.
So you have to be in seat on that day in order to get counted. If you've been in seat the day before or any time in September, you're still in the game because you've got 10 days after that count day to come to school so that you can get counted in membership if you weren't there on count day.
Okay. I think that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
I remember hearing something
10 days
about
in.
okay.
Yep, 2 weeks.
Okay.
So you'll probably have our audited or certified certainly by the end of October.
Okay.
Okay, good. Cool.
Thank you, Ms. Peck. Any questions, obviously, for Ms. Peck, feel free to reach out. Sunday, we had our Color Run 2017. One of our students, as I had mentioned before, unfortunately lost a very good friend who completed suicide. Sunday, the Color Run occurred, and I can say in the 4 years that I've been here, easily the highest attendance. A joy to see our kids lead something like that, and it was neat to see them getting interviewed by the news and sharing their opinions and all of that. Just a huge, huge amount of gratitude to our students. This is truly run by them, initiated by them. And if you had a chance to hear the Channel 4 piece, it was really quite moving, and CBS did one as well. And just super proud of our kids, and obviously grateful to anybody who came out to support that. And 50th anniversary of Silver Springs, here we go. This is Thursday, September 25th. I know Tanya Murphy, who is a PTSA parent there, a parent there, and has now served there for a number of years in the main office, is helping lead up the celebration. And so that's 5:30 to 7:30 this Thursday, and the kids will be doing a lot of stuff during the day as well. And they're not the only school that's going through their 50th this year. We know Meads is doing that, and Winchester is doing that as well. But obviously the community and board is welcome. And we maybe found a student from 1976 who's going to be there that night, which is kind of cool in so many ways, other than them probably feeling really old. Maybe
not you, is it?
Maybe not for them. No, it's not me. I'm a Perry Rambler. That's where I grew up, and that's the way I'm going to be. So thank you. And if any board members would like to make any statements about either maybe at the end of the meeting, but Color Run, Victorian Festival, things like that, please welcome that. So thank you very much.
All right, this is our first opportunity for public comment. I have one card for Matt Wilk.
Thank you, everybody. Matt Wilk, I'm a father of two at Northville High School. Being a single father, I've made lunches at home for the last 13 years. And my understanding is you guys are going to be addressing whether to provide, air quotes, free lunches to people throughout the school year, notwithstanding the fact that the state likely will not pay for those. While it would be more convenient, there's a couple other issues. The food is bad. The rules are ridiculous. That's another issue. But I think having been the board treasurer, that's the wrong way to look at these problems. We can't look at these problems as, is it a good idea or a bad idea? We are a public school. We do not have shareholders. We do not have golden parachutes. We do not have dividends. The question is, do you spend the money on this or do you spend the money on that? And what we used to do is translate a lot of money that we spent into what it would mean as far as teachers go. Would we rather have this, or rather have 3 more elementary teachers to lower the class sizes, or as you described, maybe a couple more first or second grade teachers to get rid of the split classes? More programming, things like that. When you're doing an analysis of that issue, that's how we would weigh the one versus the other. I don't know what the cost is. I presume you'll get to it. I know the state spent $670 million on 1.4 million kids. It's $475 a kid. It seems like a lot, but I don't know. That's a lot of money that could be used elsewhere for those sorts of things, whatever it is. No decision is made in a vacuum. It's always, is it this or is it that? because it's not going to a prophet, it's not going to a high-paid executive, it's going to one or the other. I think if I were sitting in your chair, given what happened last time I was here, I think you'd make efforts to make that money go towards a fair contract. You're not talking about a lot of money being the delta between the one and the two. As this is Northville, yes, would it be more convenient? Sure. But you're talking about a parent, not a parent of means. You're talking about a parent past that level paying for their free lunches so they don't have to click a box on MyStar and throw $50 into PayPal. Okay, it's just not that hard. It's a relatively simple process now. I don't think anyone of them has been on the board for long enough to remember when the teachers made the sacrifices they made to make our budget not underwater. That was giving up prep time. It was the block schedule. It was a lot of things. And they've never gotten that back. And I know a lot of them, especially the most senior teachers, view that as very, very important. So when you're analyzing A or B, do we do this or do we that? If Northville wants to be the best, we got to have the best comp. We got to have the best working conditions. I know comp is only one of them. I've heard not particularly good things about the morale along staff. I don't know if it's related to just this issue or other issues as well. I would, and I know some of you are interested in really hearing directly from the teachers about what they think, because that's an important one too. I would urge you to not do that with respect to lunches and redirect that money towards a fair contract. Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment cards? No? Okay, thank you. Let's move on then to our next agenda item for a new hire.
Yes, I'd like to bring forward motion 33 that the board award a one-year probationary prorated NEA teacher contract to Eleanor DeBrule for the 25-26 school year as presented.
Support.
You ready? All right. Thank you, President McIntyre. Thank you, Secretary Meyer. Yes, Eleanor DeBrule, she cannot be with us this evening, but in searching for a replacement teacher this time of year, it's often difficult, regardless of their area of certification. But we feel very fortunate to have come across Eleanor DeBrule and her interest in the English teaching position at Northville High School. Eleanor's been teaching English at Sparta Senior High School on the western side of the state since 2021, and she just recently uprooted and relocated to this area of the state with her fiance. So again, very, very fortunate timing. In speaking with some of her former colleagues at Sparta High School, including her former principal, despite our excitement, they were none too happy to lose Eleanor, which was a good sign when you're speaking with references. What I heard from Eleanor's references, each of them consistently, there were various themes that emerged. Great relationships with both students and staff. Works both hard and creatively to make students better readers and writers. Certainly important for an English teacher. Positive individual, reflective, and just an overall team player, just to name some of the praises that her references offered of her. Eleanor comes to us with a Bachelor of Arts from Grand Valley State University with a major in secondary education in English and a minor in psychology with corresponding teacher certifications in both areas. Additionally, Eleanor holds a Master of Science in Curriculum and Instruction from Western Governors University. We're pleased to recommend Eleanor DeBrule for hire this evening. On behalf of the Central Office Administrative Team, I recommend that the Board of Education approve a probationary contract for Eleanor DeBrule for the 25-26 school year. And of course, you have your supporting reference documents for additional information about this candidate. Thank you.
Any comments from anybody? I mean, I think it's pretty awesome that we can attract a seasoned, experienced teacher to the high school. It looks like she also has been a part of Pear Deck, Google Education Tools, Nearpod. I think those are some of the tools that we also have been using here at Northville Public Schools. So excited for that. She seems like a really well-rounded candidate, and I think it's hard to find a qualified candidate at this point in the school year. So awesome
Very
work.
much so, yes.
Mhm.
And it looks like she'll be doing English and a couple other courses. Is that how I was reading
So she's
this?
gonna, she'll be working with the peer mentor program. She'll be
Okay.
doing some learning consultant.
Wow.
And then, yes, some English courses.
Okay. Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I forgot to keep notes on who presented.
I
So you
presented it.
and support from.
Me.
Okay. Usually I keep that note. Okay. We have a motion properly presented by Ms. Meyer, supported by Dr. Campbell-Waitel. Let's go ahead with the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Excited to welcome
Mhm.
welcome her to the district.
I know. I was gonna
Cool. Wonderful. All right. Dr. Campbell-Waitel, the next item is for you to
Very
present,
well.
please.
I bring motion 34 that the board authorize the administration to purchase Teach Town for K-5 students totaling $26,847.29, funded through the 35J grant.
Support.
Okay. Motion properly presented by Dr. Campbell-Waitel, supported by Ms. Meyer. 35J grant. Is that something you can?
So we found an opportunity. This is a curriculum that, thank you. This is a curriculum that the county purchased for our Act 18 programs this year. And it's kind of a first for special education programming in that most center-based programs, maybe even all, have never had a comprehensive curriculum. So when we think about our gen ed, we purchase a math curriculum because we need to have that. Our special ed programs have always followed the standards and created their own lessons and units. This provides English, math, science, and social studies. Teachers were so excited. This is kind of groundbreaking. So then our extended resource programs, which are locally funded programs, also got very excited about this curriculum. And so Emily and I started looking into how can we make this a reality for them. We realized there's a big upfront cost associated with it. And when she got to looking through that grant, she realized it was one of the approved materials for elementary, which opened the door for us to say, okay, is there another, how do we do this? Maybe we can find a way to make this happen. And the more we dug into it, we realized the upfront cost is really that first year cost because of all the materials and manipulatives. The second year costs are significantly less. And so looking at, we can get this ordered, we can use the grant money, that doesn't come out of our pocket. Future board agenda item, you can look for maybe some suggestions and options for our middle school and high school local programs.
Great. Awesome. Yeah. I'm thrilled that you guys have really dug in to be able to use as much as that grant money as we possibly can. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
really
We
important.
didn't want to let it go to waste. I mean,
Mhm.
we had enough to cover this with probably some left over, and it was, very restrictive with which programs could be purchased with it. And
Yeah.
so it really a golden opportunity for us.
It's great.
I also want to say that your memo, one thing that I really appreciate about this memo that you gave to us was the breakdown of all the cost, but then also the detail that you provided, not only for the recurring costs so that we can know what's coming up, but also the special services, the online subscriptions that this is going to replace,
Yes.
so that we can also
Yep.
get an idea of, even though this is grant money and we love to spend, grant money when not our general fund, but just to know that the offset, that balance is, so thank you very much
Yeah, no,
for all the
sure.
detail in that.
Feedback. We wanted to make sure it's sustainable. And whenever you're looking at something that is going to have a recurring annual cost, and also just being responsible. When I consulted with a couple of our Act 18 teachers who are already digging in and using it, and I asked, what could we let go of? What won't you need that we're currently paying for? And the math was working out nicely with a few items that we wouldn't need to use. So we wanted to make sure we had all that information up front so you could make an informed decision.
Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
Well, I have to also compliment you on the presentation of the justification and also the balancing of the expenses, but also I think just kind of helping us focus on the strength of the curriculum. So you mentioned the evidence-based practices, the comprehensive whole child approach, the data-driven instruction, those are all touch points for us when we look at trying to understand the quality of the kinds of materials and programs that you're bringing. And you just like rocked it. You really made it clear to us. So that's really was another strength, I think, in this proposal description. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I also really like seeing the strategic alignment with the exceptional instruction for all. That really, as one of our foundational pieces, I really appreciate you including that too.
We live in an all means all world,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
So
we
make
do.
sure all our kids
Yep.
get what they need.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody have any additional comments? No? Okay. All right, let's go ahead with the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, Ms. Stewart, our board treasurer.
Okay. I am happy to bring forth motion 35 that the board adopt the resolution authorizing reimbursing the general fund for Michigan Universal Meals as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion properly presented by Ms. Stewart, supported by Ms. Mauer. Devin, hoping you'll give us a little background and.
Yeah, a little summary of what we talked about last Tuesday. So we're in a pickle because the state doesn't have a budget. And part of that budget was a free meals program that has been going on the last 2 years. With that program, our food service operation really doubled. And so we've seen a real uptick in how many meals we're serving. So with it going away, October 1st, we have a decision to make, and districts across the state have a decision to make. Do you continue to offer school meals and hope the budget gets passed again? Or do you have parents pay starting October 1st? And if the budget doesn't get passed, then you would continue that on. And so really we have a bridge we have to make between now and when the budget gets passed. And so part of what our understanding is we're gonna, the motion is to have the district cover those free meal costs through October. And so hopefully by then we'd have a state budget and we would know whether or not that program's gonna continue or not.
Mhm.
So really you have two things that are gonna happen. Either the program continues, and really from a accounting standpoint and operation standpoint, nothing changes. We retain all our food service staff. We don't have to worry about putting them on leave or reducing their hours through that time. And we're not requiring parents to pay. That's important for later. So if that happens, everything runs smoothly and we get reimbursed to the state. If it doesn't happen, then we are going to be paying through general fund a month's worth of meals, and then sending communication out to parents to let them know that starting November 1st, or really this motion has whenever the board wants, starting whenever the board wants, or November 1st, free meals, there's no longer going to be free meals. Why that's important on the back half, when I said parents paying, if parents pay and then we get the free meals program, we have to reimburse every single parent within that fiscal year because you can't double dip. And so you're going to be really trying to track down every parent and make a reimbursement. And so that's, again, another logistics nightmare that we just have to work around. So that's the resolution and the memo in front of you. That's kind of the elevator talk, I guess you will. Any questions?
And if I could add, Devin, as we were speaking about this, the idea of the uptick in school meals, and I want to make sure this point wasn't missed, has also led to the hiring of more really great people to serve our kids. So this is fundamentally and foundationally on the backs of every single person who chose to run for elected office. This budget should have been to us by July 1st. It's 3 months late. The 7 of you don't want to have to make these decisions. You shouldn't have to. One way or another, you shouldn't have to. We should have had our answer July 1. We did not. So if you think about 2 pieces of what Devin said there that I really want to underscore. The idea of laying off ostensibly people and then having to go ahead and rehire them again if that comes back. and I look at Mr. Sumner and I look at Miss Peck, and they've got one or two things going on in their office, like finding awesome teachers and helping us. The exercise of going back and rehiring people who already served with us, and will they all be there, is one. But one thing that Devin and I talked about today that he let us know as we met was this idea of a potential having to then go back and find and reimburse every parent for the money that's potentially spent. And you can imagine what that would mean on a business office as well. There are other fundamental things that I could opine on, but the absolute basic piece here is July 1st, we should have had our budget. There is no way 3 months later that you should all be having to make a decision like this. So did I miss anything there as an underscore? All right, thank you.
I mean, I think as we talked about this in the committee of the whole last week, to me, it was like two big points that, you know, we obviously, I think we all think it's important that every student that comes to school fed. So that's part one, right? But part two is we don't want to lay people off just to hopefully try to hire them back. So those, I mean, to me, those were the two big points that made me want to move forward with this. I wouldn't speak for everyone else, but that's where I was coming from on that.
I just have a point of clarification because I feel like you said a minute ago that we would extend it as far as we wanted to, but is the language in this through October? So do we have to have two separate votes, one on whether we support doing this and
No,
another vote?
Yeah, no, there's just language in there that says, for whatever, it gives you the flexibility to kind of pick the date. It made it more open. You don't have to have two
Okay, so,
motions.
but I would assume, pick that now. I mean, it could be a temporary date, or
So one of the things that could happen is the budget could come out tomorrow and free meals is in there or isn't in there. And so you could say, okay, we have 2 weeks, we're going to do it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or till October. It just gives us the flexibility to work. It doesn't, the resolution is open on purpose because of all the unknowns, right? We don't have a budget. We don't know what is it going to be the program we had before? Is it going to be a hybrid program that is kind of like free meals, but doesn't incorporate, like it has a lot of unknowns in there. So when we drafted the resolution with our attorneys, they made it open on purpose for that reason.
okay, but just for the purposes of our budget, don't we need to pick a date on our end? Am I misunderstanding?
Well,
No, the point of the resolution is that we're authorizing general fund dollars to potentially, again, there's all these, but we don't know if this is actually happening or
True,
not.
but let's just,
But we could pick the end date of October 31st to
Okay.
say, for this time, we don't have a budget yet, right? Like,
Yes.
you know, if we get a budget October 1st, we can come back to the table and say, okay, we've agreed to pay for 1 month. Depending, or we've said we're going to pay for 2 weeks, whatever. Maybe we say we're not going to pay for it at all, and then this is a moot point. But it seems like we could decide, right? So if we get a budget
Okay, that's
passed,
what
we
I
could
wanna
also
make
come
sure.
back then and say, in the middle of October, hey, we said we'd pay through the end of October. We've gotten a budget, and so
so in
Wait.
case there was a budget passed that allowed for it.
yeah.
But
But say we get a budget that doesn't allow for it, right? Then we've said we've given 1 month's notice.
Yes,
Right, that we will provide,
right.
depending on what we vote on, how we land, we could then close the end, is my
Okay.
understanding, right? We could then say,
Okay, I just
1
want to
month.
make sure, because it just seemed like a point of clarification that we were setting a time around this as well, right? Because we passed a resolution, it's open, that's a different discussion than having a month, to me, unless I'm
well, I
misunderstanding
think
something.
there's the motion read, I thought, yeah, I guess reimbursing the general fund for Michigan Universal
Yeah, there's
Meals.
not a date.
There isn't a
on the-
date. So we could clarify the date if we want to with the motion that we are covering
I
it for a
would
month.
personally prefer to have a date involved in this.
Okay.
I don't know how others feel,
Well,
but
would it be, if
my understanding from our discussion last week is that it would be a month. That's what I understood.
So if we get if we get a budget on October 1 in the middle of the night and they don't fund. We're going to go to the end of October.
Well, we haven't voted on it yet.
But
I'm
that's-
curious to
it
know
could
what,
be.
what do people want to do?
Okay,
don't know
I
what
see,
other
I see
districts are
that point.
doing.
That's the opposite side of it. I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
my concern is that it either doesn't pass or that it doesn't include meals. So if I was looking at it that way, what does it mean that way? So I don't really know what the parameters around that should be if we're supposed to
Well, that's up for us
assume
to
both.
decide,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but if we're to assume either or. Can it be automatically terminated or stopped if there's a budget? How would that work?
Good question.
Well, I'm sorry, I was trying to, the language that we put in the resolution gives the board the authority to stop at any point, right?
Okay.
So that's in the event, again, we're talking about a budget that we don't have. So we're trying to plan for something we don't know.
True, but
So
I mean,
you don't want to pigeonhole yourself in a situation where you have guardrails and you're trying to navigate a situation that you might need to have wider guardrails to navigate. So it could be, November 1st, that's the date you decide, great. And then this resolution allows us to do that.
Yeah, I think.
But then we're gonna have to come back, so let's say the budget is passed October 1st, we're gonna come back and do a new resolution that says, hey, and let's say the budget gets passed and free meals isn't in there.
mhm.
We would have to then come to you and do a new resolution and say, these are the new meal prices.
Mhm.
This is gonna start November 1st.
Yep.
Boom, and then you're also gonna do another one, and whether or not we wanna do breakfast, that's another story. But, so there's a progression, right? This progression just allows the general fund the authority to cover that bridge.
Mhm.
It doesn't, it's not locking us in, it's giving the board full authority to stop at any time. Does that
Okay,
make any
well,
sense?
it does. I
Okay.
guess just don't understand how in practicality this would work. So let's say they pass a budget on October 5th. Let's say they pass a budget on October 7th. We don't have a meeting until the 14th, and it's a cow.
Yeah.
So how does that work for your finance office? Because I'm assuming you're gonna have some sort of
So,
rollout time.
so we would have to do a special meeting to get those prices set so that, and you're saying in that situation, they don't do free meals? Just to
Well,
clarify.
let's say they do.
Then nothing changed, we're good.
The
Okay.
bigger
No,
issue
no
is if,
general fund money will be used because we'll be reimbursed from the state.
right.
This
Okay.
just this is literally just a resolution to give the
So if
general
they
fund.
pass it and it includes meals, then we are assuming reimbursement.
Yep.
But if it passes and it doesn't, then this time period is giving parents a transition point.
So
Mhm.
so mechanically, from an audit or accounting standpoint, you have two different funds, right?
Mm-hmm,
So you have the food service fund, you have the general fund.
mm-hmm.
Through this time that we don't have a budget, nothing is going to change. Expenses will hit the food service fund. No funds will go to the food service fund in that time, right? Once we have a budget, we will know whether or not we have free meals or we don't have free meals. Then that triggers the next sequence, right? So if we don't get free meals, then the general fund will reimburse through October or whatever the date is to the general fund to cover that. And then in that time, we will have to do a new resolution that sets the prices and whatnot. In the event they do pass it, nothing changes.
Okay,
Expenses hit food service, no general fund money goes to food service, we get reimbursed through food service. There's no reimbursement to parents, there's no changes in staff, nothing, it's like nothing ever happened. It's the least disruptive plan,
okay.
right?
It seems like to me, some of this is, I don't think anybody was on the board at the time. Kim, maybe you were. When we were voting on masks and we had to make the vote first because Wayne County would not put out their statement around masks when we returned to school. I think I'm the only one in the room that had that experience. So we are kind of doing that, right? To say, we don't know what the state's going to decide. What is our value? How do we feel that we can best lead our community with a stable perspective? Maybe the stable perspective is to say, sorry, guys, it's 9/23. We don't have a state budget. We have, what are our priorities? How do we decide that?
Okay,
Does
so
that make sense?
it does make sense, but in terms of the difference is at some point, like Wayne County came out with something.
And so then
So
our vote was null
are
and
we,
void.
so
It's the
I
same
guess,
kind of thing.
I guess like the only thing is like the priority, the only thing about the word priority, because ideally the meals would continue. ideally.
For sure.
But
from the
it's a
state.
very large expense.
Yes.
So beyond this month, I don't know as if it's feasible.
Not-
So
not- yeah.
to me,
Finish the thought, though.
well,
Yeah,
I think I
finish your
did.
So it sounds, what I'm hearing you say is that for 1 month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and yes.
And I'm curious, yeah, I'd love to know where other people are sitting with it.
I agree. I
Okay,
think,
1 month.
yeah, I think we give the state, the month to figure it out,
Okay.
right? Obviously, sooner the better, right?
Yeah, we need them to land
And
on
I
it.
think
We need
giving
them to
families that
figure out-
timeline too
Mhm.
allows them to prepare, that we
Yeah.
say, here's our plan for now. If that's how things pan out, then they at least know.
And our
What might be.
personnel.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
Right,
Exactly,
right, to give them
yes.
time as well.
So,
I think,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go.
Okay, I was also struck by the emails we received. The majority were for continuing the free lunch program, and people were saying, hey, this really helps my family, not in a convenience way, but in a helps me to afford food kind of way. So I am definitely for continuing it for 1 month until the budget is figured out at the state. I do think they will pass the lunch program. I do.
oh, let's hope. You got a channel to the state.
When I keep thinking about, sometimes there's the perception in Northville that Northville doesn't use the lunches to the degree that other communities do. And I think it, in a stressful time, it can be that bridge that there's one more thing that is taken care of for families and for our staff that, anybody that is working in this economy right now knows that there are fewer jobs to come by, right? So for us to also make that decision today, that we're not sure that we can provide that stable employment that many of these people have had with us for at least 2 years. That seems to be a difficult position to be facing.
Yeah.
I don't know, Ron.
I was just gonna say, I don't know that it's necessary to set a date, because either way, we would have to come back and vote again to set prices. So, I would think if we left it open-ended, it's gonna be handled that way anyway. But yeah, I agree, it is an important thing for our families. And not only our food service workers and our families have that, but I was having some conversations, and some of the kids in the schools are actually asking about this too, and they're kind of anxious about it. It's not something the kids should be worrying about, but unfortunately it is. So, I think it's important that we do this, just kind of bridge that gap. And so, I guess I'm open to whatever you guys think, but I don't really think it needs to be a fixed date right now, because we have to have another vote anyway.
I guess my only concern with that would be communication with families. I would want to make it clear with families about we don't know, right? But this is what we're planning for now. And especially if there's a lot of anxiety and unknowns, we don't know, but at least giving some guidance or information.
So we do have communication ready to go, obviously, depending on what this happens tonight. And it will kind of spell out the plan for the district. Obviously, again, we're in a world where we don't have a budget. So how do you send out communication or have a plan when you don't know what the plan is from the state? So, but we do have a communication ready to go that has a November 1st date in it.
Okay.
So, but again, to Ron's point, we have to do another meeting, another resolution when this ends anyway. So to change it to have a date makes it more fixed, but
Well, I guess if we don't have to have a date around it, but we have a communication date with families. I feel
yeah,
if we have anxiety from families, from students, to giving them that as much information as soon as possible.
I feel like what I'm hearing is November 1st, if there is no provision, is
right. Yeah, if the budget passes and the
there's
budget passes and there's no free meals, then yes, it would be. It's not an all-year plan. It is to help families, figure it out, because the state doesn't have their budget done. So during that time, it gives them a deadline. And that also helps from a staffing perspective, because we don't want to reduce staff and then have to bring back staff. We don't want to worry about having to reimburse families.
Right. It seems like
Again,
from a
it's
labor
the least-
perspective, there would be a lot if we weren't able to pass this
It's the
resolution.
least disruptive to student plan,
yes.
Yeah.
right? So And so we do have a communication ready to go, but we obviously haven't sent it because board meetings. now, so.
And most things like the BTS or behind the scenes of what we do is we typically have 2 communications for everything, genuinely. And the public will see one of them depending on your actions. But what I'll also say on this budget aspect is, and this is, I think, a part of it that needs to be said. Lisa, I think, figured it out. Basically, we would burn through in a month 10% of our fund balance if the state doesn't fund us. And the fact is that it's, I think, especially disappointing because legislators know that we're not going to close our schools down.
It's not
Even
legal to.
though if I ask people in the private sector and business world who often like to tell me that's how things should be run, and I ask them if you had no income for a month at all, are you going to leave your business open, continue to employ everybody in your business and do that? Absolutely not. Yet as a public service entity, there is no way in heck that we would say to our families and kids, we're not going to educate you. However, the impact that would have, and we have the privilege of a healthy fund balance. There are people that I serve beside in Wayne County who are at 6%, 5%, 8%, 13%, 18%. And so their ability to withstand this type of what I can just say is frankly a dereliction of duty from Lansing is not nearly what ours is. That there is no judgment that I know any of us have for districts that have to make different choices than perhaps we can make. I know you got well enough to know that. It breaks my heart, to Ron's point, that he talked to kids in a school here that we have, and how many kids are saying that in schools throughout Wayne County, Oakland County, and every county in Michigan. And I think Ms. Mabry said something as well. I don't know if you've really analyzed the last time you went grocery shopping, but there is no doubt when you take a look at your receipt and what's in your cart and you're asking yourself, did I forget a bag inside because how did this cost what it did? That's also very real. And I know several of you made that point. So Karen, do you feel like you have a explanation on that that's satisfying?
Yes, and I don't want to downplay any of the anxiety or concern that families have.
I didn't hear that
It's
at all.
legitimate, and I personally would support and would like the state to continue with this program. But in terms of bearing it as an individual district, long-term, unfortunately, it's not feasible. So I would like to make sure that our families have clear communication and a runway if we have to land the plane.
I think we're achieving all of those touch points that you mentioned, in addition to being really careful with, just the logistics of the complex problem. So I really appreciate that we've put that all out on the table in terms of reimbursement to parents and the concern with our employees and the timing, the various timings, and how we would communicate, and at what point would we have to reconvene and update our decision. So I think you've helped us understand all of the fine detail and nuance behind this.
For me, I liken it a little bit to when we made the decision about summer school, that we made that a short-term program that benefited a certain number of, benefited whoever wanted to enroll. There were two sections, two segments offered, right? Segment 1, segment 2. I liken it to that it's a short-term way for us to support our community during a stressful time. And it's not going to add to our structural deficit that we're already operating under. It is a one-time money spend that benefits a lot of people. And I would imagine that our food service people would tell us it benefits a lot more people than we know, right? One of the things I wanted to ask too was what is our usage rate? I think you've told us it's 80% of our students. That's a lot more than we're able to use summer school when I think of the elementary level. So 80% of our students seems like that's a worthwhile investment on a one-time money spend.
Now, I do have a question for Megan. Since this is a resolution, usually when we do a resolution, we do a roll call vote. Do we need a roll call or just a general?
We can do a roll call. I mean, we don't need one for this resolution, but we can do it.
And
I do have
I,
another question for you, Devin. So in the event that, the state does not renew this, and we paid for the meals during that time, are we able to go back and at least bill the students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch? Are we able to bill the state for those ones?
That is a great question, and I don't even know if anyone at MDE knows that.
okay.
I like the line of thought on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we're trying to formulate a plan with, I've had calls with the auditors, I've had calls with MDE, obviously, Gary and food service, and there are so many unknowns. We're assuming the plan we have now, this is assuming that, that we're allowed to do what we're allowed to do. But if we don't have a budget on October 1st, one of the things MDE brought up was, some of those staff go away, right? They go on leave because they don't have they're not like us where they have to stay here and work. So how do you get guidance when you don't have someone it's a really unfortunate situation. So yeah, I would have.
That was, Ms. Peck and I were at a conference recently for the Michigan Association of School Administrators, and part of the speakers who were there were from the Michigan School Business Officials. And I know you know Bob Lawand really well, and we're so lucky to have Devin because he was already kind of ahead of that piece. But Bob Lawand said exactly what Devin just said, like, your first order of business Monday is to start having a plan for what you're going to do if there's a shutdown. And to the very point that Devin just made, it might sound silly, but if a government shuts down, the government is furloughed. The people you call to help you with an accounting issue aren't there. And so here we are again. And this is where I will get, I do get emotional about this, because in no way would we in this community school district and our Northville Public Schools ever not open our doors for the kids that we have. We are going to eat what we have to for the short term. But that is really not the way that businesses work, frankly, if there's no income coming into them. It's not the way the government's going to work. And so those are all contingencies that our business offices have to attend to. Again, for something that should have been done July 1st. So I'm grateful for all the questions, and Karen, and always ask a lot of questions like that. It helps other people out there who might not fully understand it or get it. And Ron, to your point, okay, so if we want to play that game, then what are we going to do when it comes back? And as Devin said, they don't know.
Understandable. It's kind of uncharted territory, so.
I love the point.
One of the things
Find
that
the answer to that then later.
Yeah, good question. One of the things that baffles me about this too, I think Northville is in a fortunate situation that we can keep our doors open, we can keep paying our staff. You'll project out for us how long that will go. But I think in our committee of the whole meeting last week, we also learned that if we needed to take a loan out from the state, a school aid note to pay our bills, the entity that we then would pay our interest to would be the state. So it's very strange to hear all of this shutdown that would then cost districts more to pay the state that would be paying them. It feels very unavoidable to me.
Yeah, you have districts right now that have state aid notes. So imagine when that October state aid payment isn't there. So it just increases that number.
Yeah. So. Not the way to do. Not the way to take care of the residents of a state.
Especially when there is enough money in the school aid fund to take care of all of these things. In whatever squabbles are going on in Lansing, this is especially needless and especially infuriating to folks like us, because the money is there. This is not post 8, 9, 10 for those of us who were in Michigan when we were cratering, and Detroit was the epicenter of the economic crater. Completely understandable. We had to make the cuts that we made. We had to do the things that we had to do. It was really hard for those of us who were here. We all remember it. This moment right now
could be avoidable. Well, I always have hope that they will come together and this will be a moot conversation, and then we can move forward. That, you know, I'm sure they're feeling the motivation, and I hope that they can work through their conflicts to get to a vote on a good budget that serves our state. Okay, so we want to do a roll call vote. Do we have a roll call that we want to follow for that? Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
President McIntyre,
I vote yes.
Vice President Campbell Boytel,
I vote yes.
Treasurer Stewart,
Yes.
Secretary Meyer, I vote yes. Trustee Frazier,
Yes.
Trustee Mabry,
Yes.
Trustee Mauer.
Yes. All right, thank you. Motion carries. Appreciate the good dialogue too, that it's a really impossible situation for us as volunteer elected officials to be making for our community, but we will do so as needed. Let's see, I know we do have an added agenda item, so I believe we can move on to that. Is that correct, Ms. Irving? Okay, all right, we have one added agenda item. I'll hand it over to you, Ms. Meyer.
All right. I'd like to bring forward a motion 36 that the board ratify the tentative agreement entered into by and between the district and the Northville Education Association commencing August 24th, 2025 and expiring August 23rd, 2027 as presented.
I support that.
All right, great. We have a motion properly presented by Ms. Meyer, supported by Dr. Campbell Boytel. Shall I go ahead and read how do we want to do this? Turn it over to Mr. Sumner?
I'll give you a little background if you don't mind,
That'd be
President
great.
McIntyre.
Please do, yes.
So yes, timing's everything. This is an added agenda item this evening, all because of ratification from the NEA just occurred hours ago. As the board's well aware, this past February, Northville Public Schools and the Northville Education Association began the negotiation process for a successor agreement following this one-year contract agreement that we had for the 24-25 school year. Parties began meeting on February 25th of 2025, and we've met over at least 17 different times throughout this process before reaching a two-year tentative agreement this past Thursday, September 18th of 2025. The tentative agreement covers both economic and non-economic factors. And as I mentioned, NEA membership, I'm pleased to report, successfully ratified the two-year agreement just hours ago, earlier today. The Board of Education was provided with an executive summary as well as a tentative agreement itself that delineates the economic and non-economic terms of the tentative agreement, with all aspects falling within the parameters as previously set forth by the board. In reaching this tentative agreement, the district's negotiating team is grateful for the collaborative efforts of the NEA's negotiating team, led by President Richard Tabor, Chief Negotiator Matt Creighton, and MEA Uniserv Grant Dalton. Obviously, our appreciation extends to their entire team and as well as our teachers themselves. So as a recommendation, it is recommended that the Board of Education conducts a ratification vote regarding the two-year contract agreement between Northville Public Schools and the Northville Education Association, which includes economic and non-economic terms and conditions of employment for the 2025 through 2027 school years. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, does the board have any questions? A lot of hard work. I know that it's been quite a process, right? That everybody has worked tirelessly, lots of conversations, lots of, yeah, it's a hard thing, right? We are in really uncertain times. And that just, I think we could say that over and over again, that I think even from our chairs, right? This was an unusual experience for all of us. And I think that is in part due to the difficult nature of these uncertain times with budgeting and public schools. And I don't know, does anybody else have anything that they would want to add? There's a lot, I think we
might
all
say,
would
yeah,
wanna
right.
say. Yeah, there is a lot we all want to
So
say,
I
I'm
wanna
sure of
say-
that. This is a big deal, right? To get to a
It is.
two-year agreement, that
Mhm.
this is a really
Yeah.
big deal.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that this, kudos to both sides of the table. This is a scary time for public education in this whole country. And just to kind of blow it up higher instead of, yes, we could talk about our district, but I just think the environment as a whole is fraught. And so we draw strength from having this agreement be able to be negotiated between all parties here that stabilize our district. And allow us to be fiscally healthy, but also to recognize the work that we're so indebted to for our teachers. So, yeah, I have many more things to say, but I'll just say it. Bravo, good work. I know there was a lot of sweat and a lot of passion, and we felt it, and I'm sure you felt it too. And but that's just the nature of the game, isn't it? So I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? We've had a lot of conversations at the board table about what can we do? How do we make this happen? What needles can we move? What levers can we pull? How can we get a state budget? Can we put more pressure on the state to give us a budget? How soon can we get a budget? Um, so here we are. We're making a big commitment to our community also with this contract. So that I think we can go ahead with a vote then. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 7-0. I would like to read Mr. Tabor, did you want to say something? Okay. 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 Okay, if I read this summary now. Okay. Okay. Since we have voted yes from the board table also in this contract, I would like to just say that the Northville School District and the Northville Education Association are really, this is a joint statement from us that I'm going to read, if with your permission as well. Okay. 100%. These have been really extensive contract negotiations. We all know, like we were saying, we have felt this, and we are really happy to see that a new collective bargaining agreement has been reached and ratified by both parties that covers the remainder of this school year as well as the 26-27 school year. While the negotiation process presented challenges at times, from our lens, we saw that the parties never wavered in working together. In fact, they met together on 17 different occasions through the summer, through vacations, through delayed vacations, in an effort to reach a contract agreement that not only continues to support and uplift the district's outstanding teaching staff, while also considering fiscal, financial responsibility as well as sustainability. Throughout this process, both parties remained focused on our shared commitment to supporting our students and the community. This contract agreement reflects the dedication and commitment of the Board of Education and the Northville Education Association to ensure we continue to provide a top-notch education for our students. Both teams work tirelessly to this end. The Board of Education deeply appreciates the passion and investment of our teachers who continue to inspire and educate our students with excellence. Furthermore, such appreciation also is extended to the NEA's negotiations team led by President Richard Tabor, Chief Negotiator Matt Creighton, and MEA Uniserve Director Grat Dalton, wish he was here with us tonight, and also its work and advocacy to ensure an agreement that seeks to reinforce the recruitment and retention of outstanding educators for Northville Public Schools. Similarly, the Northville Education Association acknowledges the district's willingness to engage in meaningful dialogue and work towards solutions that balance the needs of educators with the broader responsibilities of the district. The NEA says we are grateful for the district's commitment to public education and the well-being of our staff and students. Together, we look forward to a great remainder of this school year as we continue to share in the commitment to provide the highest quality education for every student in Northville Public Schools. So this is a good day, right? We have worked hard to get here, and thank you to everybody for that. Okay. I guess that's it for that. Thank you. Okay, we have a. Exactly.
Squirted it all over the ceiling.
All right, this is our, some kind of bubbly that is alcohol free. A sparkling soda of some sort. Okay, I have a few public comment cards, and first I'd like to call up Mr. Tabor.
Thank you, Richard Tabor, Northville Education Association President and teacher. I just really want to take time publicly to thank not only the district's team, the board especially, and also my team and my members. As you mentioned in the statement, it was definitely a difficult road. I think the fact that we all have in our forefront the fact that we want a district that's financially sound, that is continuing to be able to attract and retain the kind of talent that we need to maintain our excellence. The fact that we all kind of have those same goals. I knew we'd eventually get to a deal. I didn't think it would take this long, but I'm glad that we were able to do it, and I appreciated the efforts of the district and my team to kind of come back and refocus and get this done. Also, I just want to recognize that while this was a difficult road, I know that some of my words or actions might have caused some harm to some people in this room, so I wanted to apologize for any of that harm that might have been caused, and just let you know that I'm committed to continuing to work with you guys, strengthen our relationship, and continue to keep Northville moving forward. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It was a wild ride, but we're there. Next, I would like to call Lori Selleck, and I hope I said your last name correctly this time.
Hi, my name is Lori Selleck. I live in Northville. I have a senior and I have a freshman. And boy, I'm so happy it's Mental Health Month. I'm so glad there's so much emphasis on mental health. Why am I saying this? And why am I so sarcastic? Because I have a freshman in Spanish 2. So everyone here knows about Spanish 2. It has a reputation. So what happened? My son came home. We're week 3, folks. My son came home last week and said to me, I'm really stressed out. I'm failing Spanish. And I'm like, well, it's week 2. What do you mean you're failing Spanish? Let's look at Schoology. So we look at Schoology. Everything's turned in. But you know what? He's failing the tests. Why is he failing the tests? Because his teacher does not teach what she tests on. Everyone knows this because there is a Facebook parent group for Northville High School. One of the comments, one of the pages on there is 60 comments long from 3 days ago. Everyone is saying that there is a problem. I went to go see his counselor today. By the way, it happens to be Rosh Hashanah. It is one of our holiest days. And I found myself at the high school in with his counselor because this is so concerning. I digress. I'm in with the counselor. I would like him to get this class dropped. And she says to me, why did you sign him up for Spanish 2 if everyone knows Spanish 2 is a problem? Okay, so let's victim blame. Why did I do this? Because 2 years ago, the curriculum was changed and he had Spanish every day. And guess what? Spanish 1, he got an A. So why, how is he failing Spanish 2? So now I'm here in front of you asking you how this is possible. What are we going to do about it? And I sent an email to the board. I included the entire page from the Facebook group in case anyone was interested in seeing the comments and what the parents are going through. So the stress, the mental health of the parents, the students. So something's got to give. Something has to change. Thank you.
Next, I would like to call Ron Selleck.
Sorry to be picking on teachers today, but we don't have any skin in this game because we don't have any kids at Hillside. But last year there were 170 kids in marching band. This year there are 125. Before COVID there were 300. We thought the program would recover. The problem is under the direction of the new Hillside music director, it will never recover. The retired Mr. Lanza used to send 50 to 60 kids to the high school program every year. This year, Mrs. Nugent sent 9 kids to the high school program. My son is a freshman, and he told me this summer, he didn't learn anything last year at Hillside in the band program. Not a thing. Think about that. This is a kid that plays at Interlochen. He's at the DSO He didn't learn anything the whole year. My senior composed a letter we sent to the principal, and nothing happened. I've talked to the director of HR, nothing has happened. Mrs. Nugent says she doesn't want to teach band. She taught IT for 15 years. She talks about her family instead of teaching. She doesn't give the kids time to warm up. She insults the kids. Fifth graders didn't go into sixth grade band because everyone knows there's a problem. Sixth graders didn't go into seventh grade band. Seventh graders didn't go into eighth grade band. A person that is excited to teach band should be teaching. If a change isn't made, it will take 4 or 5 years to recover, if ever, the band program. Our award-winning band program will end if this teacher isn't replaced soon. This program that existed changed my boys' lives. Both boys play music, they enjoy it. Music is a critical part of education and needs to be a priority of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to call Amy Kepis. I don't know if I said that correct.
Good evening. My name is Amy Keeps. I have 2 nephews who are at Northville High School, and they're Spanish students. My concern is about Spanish too. The older student is a senior, and he is a serious, intense, very committed young man. And sometimes he gets a little stressed. So if he's stressed about a class, maybe that's just his DNA. It's who he is. But the other one is very carefree, very happy-go-lucky. And he did great in Spanish 1, and he's failing Spanish 2. And it is ruining the experience for him. I don't know if it is just this one teacher, and in the interest of the students who are struggling with this, I will echo Lori's comments that there's this Northville High School parent Facebook page, and all of the comments, all of these dozens and dozens of comments are about parents recognizing that they all have this problem, Spanish too. There was one commenter that was saying that it is being addressed, and it was a board member. But the consistency of everybody other than a board member failing to recognize that change is in the works and that it is better than it was last year or the year before, and that this has been going on for more than 2 years now, I'm asking you to do something sooner, more aggressively, do what needs to be done. I don't know if it is just Mrs. Reeves' class or if it is the change from Spanish 1 to Spanish 2. I don't mean any disrespect by naming the teacher, but there are dozens and dozens of students this year and prior years who are having the same struggle. And you should know what that is. And as I said, maybe it isn't the teacher, maybe it's going from Spanish 1 to Spanish 2. It should be harder in Spanish 2. Welcome to high school. And after high school, you're going to go to college, and it gets harder. But what you are learning should be on the test, and your test should reflect what you have learned in your classes. As I said, it's been a problem for a while now. Both these young men have been stressed and anxious and very concerned about their futures. Parents have been objecting loud and clear from what I've read, and it hasn't been addressed. My hope for you folks is that you make sure that parents and students feel that they're being heard, that solutions are coming, because right now they feel that they aren't, that you let us know if there's anything you're doing, and if so, what, and that you increase the pace and action that you're taking to remedy the problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move into our next agenda item then, which is questions and comments from board members.
Let's see. So I have a Parks and Rec meeting tomorrow, actually, so hopefully I'll have something else to update. I did want to point out that there's a new pedestrian crossing on 7 Mile that's leading into Mayberry Park. That has been a big push with Northville Township, especially the Parks and Rec, to try to get a pedestrian crossing there.
And it's it's a little bit east of Ridge Road, I believe.
Yeah, I think
So
so,
it's-
because you can't see it from Beck, so
Right, yeah,
it's a little further
yeah,
down,
west, yep.
but there is a pedestrian crossing, which is nice. And then I think it is actually called Night for Northville, but it's the Parks and Rec is doing a big community event, and it's going to be at Marv Gann's, the soccer fields at 5 and Beck. And it's this Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. There's going to be food trucks and music and lots of fun events. So that is my Parks and Rec update.
Well, I think this is our opportunity also to comment on the Victorian Festival. I was at Mill Race guiding 5 cycles of small groups of students through a variety of stations. But I think, and as always, it's awesome and wonderful. I do want to comment this year. Every year, the student skits are wonderful, but this year, they've just knocked it out of the park. Of course, on the church steps, we have the 2 students. These are NHS students who their skit was on women's suffrage. So if you can imagine, you have 3rd graders, 8 and 9-year-olds, and try to help them make the link from women's suffrage to the opportunity to vote, right? So suffrage sounds like, you've got to really teach the concept before you can have a skit that means anything to kids. They did a beautiful, beautiful job. It was just 2 of them. It was not a cadre of 4. And it was so appropriate to the age group that was in the audience, and it was as sharp and stimulating and funny and informative and engaging. So there was repartee between the audience and the students. The first time they did it, all the way to the end. So I got to also say that the store had a disaster skit, and that ensemble of students who are also NHS honor students did it just quite a beautiful job. We had dead bodies, so the students who were the dead bodies on the steps who weren't quite dead enough, and so they woke, they were brought back up to to the living. But the idea that 2 trains could crash and be a historic disaster for our area was something new for the kids to think about. And so I thought that was, again, very well done. And it just made a really strong connection. And Jenny, you and I were a partnership moving those kids. And I don't know what caught your eye, but.
Absolutely. The high school students were incredible. Very lucky this weekend. I participated in both Victorian Festival and the Color My World Run. All over the high school students. They're incredible. We're so lucky in this district. Also for the Silver Springs, I do want to give a shout out to the PTA. We have President Devin Slotkin in here. I know she's been doing a lot of planning, not much time and not much budget. I'm looking forward to that celebration. So thanks for the PTAs for always helping out with the schools.
I just have a small comment on the issue of preparedness for today's agenda. There are quite a few items that were uploaded today. I would just ask that if those things could be put on next meeting agenda or something. I know that things happen in terms of late thing, and I'm not referring to the added agenda item.
Yeah. Appreciate you naming that. Okay. Anything else that the board wants to name? I just want to end on, I'm really glad that we were able to get to a contract. I know that really want all of our teachers to know how valued they are and how much we appreciate all of their efforts all year long for our students, and that our, parents obviously also rallied in support of their kids and our teachers, and so we got to a good end.
Absolutely.
We are really lucky to have such a passionate community that we live in.
I was asked by several members of the community why the board and myself weren't making direct comments. And this is a good opportunity, I think, to let the community know that in a negotiation process, board members, superintendent, even negotiation team really can't address anything, nor should they publicly. So while social media boards were full and plenty of people opined and had opinions, I would say never ever take our discretion for a lack of interest. There is a very critical function in healthy labor negotiations where folks like us don't get to do that. So many people have the privilege to have their own opinions, which is fine, but people are certainly not entitled to have their own facts. Facts are facts. And so I would just like to make that very clear. I had a conversation with a parent today who asked me that question and sincerely didn't know the why behind it. So I want to take this opportunity to make sure that the community knows, and staff knows as well if they're not familiar with labor negotiations, that truly to make sure it is as fair and impartial as possible, it's incumbent upon the 8 of us and also the team to my left to make sure that we don't do things or say things publicly. So thank you for that. And then I did some quick math here with my help of Mr. Kling, and this is mind blowing. So 365 days in a year, and you look at our district, it would cost us $271,000 a day to run our district. So if you look at the 7,000 kids we have per day, so then the cost for that comes out to $38 a kid a day. I don't know when people talk about return on investment, if you're going to find has anyone had a babysitter for 7 hours lately? Are you going to get it for $38 for 7 hours?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. And we are far, far more than that. We feed kids. We love kids. We teach them. We care about them. We give them opportunities. And I'm so, so proud of it. And I think if people would just take a moment to do some very simple math and look at the value that a community public school system provides, this notion that the community public school systems around the state and the people who lovingly serve kids could be on edge as far as making their bills and being able to do that is something that I have a very difficult time wrapping my head around. No matter how negotiations may go and how heated things may get, I never have a doubt at all in my mind about how our educators care about serving children, ever. And how we do it with what we do in a world that is increasingly dangerous with increasing asks upon us for safety, for all sorts of different things. I am exceedingly proud of what we deliver here and frankly across the state in the vast majority of school districts. But just a thought, when you think about it and you break it down from a financial aspect like that, I know that you have little ones. You'd probably love to find a value of $38 for 7 hours.
That'd be awesome.
It's not going to happen. I hate to tell you.
I told you I was sending them to your house.
Yeah, no, you can't send them to my house.
With a
That's
well-rounded
not possible.
education for that.
So thank you for allowing me to say that. I just think it was important to clear up now that we're there in the contract. It was really hard, I know, for many people on the board to not be able to clarify information that may not have been accurate or things that are on there. And we understand our role. We get it. This is part of what we indeed signed up for. And I want to thank the 7 of you for having a very high bar for who you were through the process. And it's not easy on our leadership of our union who is negotiating either. Don't forget that team negotiating has over 400 members they're serving. And that is not a small thing to attend to the needs of 400 different people. And so I am truly proud of the way that we navigate it. And I'm going one special shout out for Brian Sumner, who will hate me for this, who never ever takes credit for anything. He is a credit maker, not a credit taker. Brian's counsel personally to me through this process was exceptionally helpful. And I know the presentations he prepared for the Board of Education throughout this, I believe you all found helpful. So I want to thank him for going to Austin's soccer game and getting the news that this indeed had happened, and then coming back here to be here with us tonight. What's the final score of the game, Brian?
First of all, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And 3-0.
3-0. All right, ended well.
Good.
Ended well. It makes me, the guy, his boy. That makes me happy to hear. So that's all. Thank you for your generosity of time there. I think I needed to say the things that I said for a lot of different reasons.
Appreciate that. I wanted to clarify too, will this update be also added back into our website? I've been getting questions from the community about, updating that agreement and making sure that it's available for the public.
Yeah, we'll get that up tomorrow morning. I don't
Okay.
know that it'll get up tonight.
That
tomorrow
makes
morning
sense.
for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't want
That's the plan.
to put it in it like when we found out at 5:30.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, make sure the
A little
board.
superstitious.
supports
Let's
us
make
also.
sure that
Yes. Yep.
you guys everything went well with that. But certainly, and also just a reminder. Several comments and questions came around people wanting factual information from board meetings. Just a reminder, as a public entity, any citizen can go ahead and go to our website, go to the Board of Education, click on Access to Board Book, and just like the little search icon that you'll find in most websites, you could search basically anything you want, and it will pull from the agendas that we have in Board Book. So if you're curious about looking for something or something like that, there's a little pro tip for you. Just take a second to find whatever you might be looking for.
I also wanted to underscore kind of that chain of command piece, right? Like for people to know where the information is available, and also making sure that people are also, connecting with the teacher that they have a concern with, connecting with their assistant principal, connecting with the principal, connecting with HR, and then connecting with superintendent and the board. So we appreciate the dialogue. I also have noticed in my own personal noticings lately that it seems like social media is getting even hotter than it had been. So I appreciate just people being mindful of that too, that there's a lot, right? That it seems like you just put a little kindling in there and then poof, there's a lot that seems to go off from there.
Reminds me of something my grandma once said, which words are like toothpaste. Once it comes out of the tube, you can't shove it back in. And that's a hard thing. And we all get passionate and we all make choices and decisions. But in our field, which is very public, what is really hard for me is to see anonymous comments targeting people that I know are doing the best they can. And what I would say to anybody, if you're willing to write anonymously about somebody, I would encourage you to have the fortitude to put your name behind what you're saying. It's really difficult to see anonymous comments about people in that way. Those people have families. Those people have their own lives, and certainly not shirking accountability. However, to your point, President McIntyre, I think all of us could model for our kids how we want our kids to behave and how they talk about people or to people. And I love mature directness. Had an hour-and-a-half meeting with a parent today who was concerned about some things, and it was just she and I, and it was a great meeting. And conversation was there, and it was authentic, and it was real. And hopefully we can provide some help for her. But thank you for noting that as well, as things become I don't know, like the Tinder or whatever you said, the heat.
Kindling, yeah, seems like there's just a lot of
Yeah.
sparks flying.
Thank you.
And just clarifying, so our next meeting is October 14th, and that's our committee of the whole meeting, and we will be discussing a variety of topics on that date. So looking forward to that. So 2 weeks off.
And committee of the whole meetings are excellent meetings for the public to attend, because you really get to hear the wonderings and the sharings and maybe the variety of different approaches to thinking about the challenges in front of us that are represented on the board. And it's really the opportunity to see good governance. I highly recommend it. So anybody in the audience who's picking this up on YouTube, come to those COW meetings. That's short for Committee of the Whole.
And those are public meetings, right?
They are public.
They are not live streamed, but they are open to the public.
And there's opportunity for public comment, so you can speak to.
All right, thanks all. Then
Thank
let's
you all.
call our meeting adjourned at 8:04.
Nice night. Thank you.